What's going on, everybody? D talking about tech stocks and jobs, Hurricane Edition. Um, welcome. Uh, survived another storm. Got some damage. Some shingles, some fence. Well, I think my neighbor he said he got to get a whole new fence, and then we got some trees down. No flooding that I know of. I haven't been back to see if it rained in the house or whatnot. But last I checked, there's still no power. Last I checked. Let me see. Let me go over here and see if Duke got anything right now. Let me look. How's everybody doing? No water came on the street though. Water came on the street and went back. I'll take it. Yeah, still out. Yep, still out. See, they said estimated restoration time is Tuesday between 10:15. I mean the 10:15 at 12 o'clock. So it's probably gonna be out till Tuesday. That's what it looks like. That's what I'm getting. You know, that could be Tuesday, it could be another time. Who knows? But we are out. I think they had what almost 3 million people without power, without water, and then now the floods are happening. Right. So for those who don't know, I had to take these off because when I get close, I can't see. But when I sit back, I can see. So gotta take them off. So those that don't know, Wednesday we had a show on Wednesday, Hurricane edition of the show, of our meetup. And in that show, I talked about at the end, we talked about disaster recovery, basically of your career and your life. And I gave people homework assignments to to go back over 3 videos. The video with with Kelsey and I think D was in there at some point. Episode 124, Tech Stocks and Jobs. The other one with Kelsey, I think it's episode 99. And then the last episode, we're on what we're on episode 157. I said go back to 155. Right? Those are 3 episodes that I think I don't think that they sum up everything, but it gives you a good idea about some things you should be doing. Casual economist, thank you. Remember for 18 months, we appreciate you. Right? We appreciate you. Now, why did I tell people to go look at those episodes? Well, let's I was gonna start, I was gonna end with this, but then I think I'm gonna start with this. All right. All right. So here we have a diagram that I did this morning. And I wanted to let's see, let me know how this looks on the screen for you all. Uh, do you don't have it on the screen? Okay. How does that look on the screen? Is that big? And I don't know. Yeah, it looks a little small from what I'm seeing, but I can zoom in on the parts. All right. A catastrophic. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Sure did. I need an S in there. Let me put my S in there. Oh, come on. Well, we'll do this. There we go. Much better. Let me find my. There we go. Here we go. Okay, you're on the iPad. Okay. All right. So, thank you, Jennifer Jasmine. Thanks for joining too. Florida One, what's going on? T21 Roberts. Make sure I get my shout outs in too before I go in before I start deep diving. Shay, what's going on? How you doing up there, Shay? From the last one. From the last one. All right, so let's talk about it. I'm gonna give you a real life scenario, and then here are my thoughts on that real life scenario. You have a tornado or um a EF4, EF5 tornado. You have a hurricane that comes through, 3, 4, 5 that comes through, right? And the city or cities in which get affected are where people live and where they work. Suppose you work for a small business that is a mom and pop store, or it's your family store, and it gets hit with a hurricane and it wipes out the business. Um, it wipes out jobs. It wipes out a community, and it wipes out uh, everything: housing, grocery store, the whole nine. What do you do? And how do you prepare for that? Right? When people say emergency fund, I think this takes emergency funds to a whole nother level, in my opinion. In in my opinion, I think it takes having having an emergency fund to a whole nother level, in the sense of the emergency fund now is like a lifeline, right? So, for example, before I got on the road, I went to the bank, I deposited some checks, I then went and I turned around and I said, just give me $3,000 in cash. And I also said, because I knew the storm was coming, right? I also looked at my credit lines, increased my credit lines, you know, did what I had to do just to have some coverage. I have hotel points, so I know if I'm along my route that I am driving or where I'm flying to, I am looking to get a hotel. So manage my time. So I'm like, okay, let me make sure I get my let me make sure as I while I'm traveling, how realistically, how much time do we have before the storm hits? Where can we stay? Where can we go? Can we catch a flight? Like, I was literally looking at flights to fly to Puerto Rico. I was like, well, I get out of the storm. Can I get to DC? Can I get to Vegas? Can I get to LA? Can I get to New York? Uh can I get to Miami? How's the hurricane turning? All those things come into play. And the fact that the airport is getting ready, the airport is going to close at 9 o'clock the next day, that Monday morning, that Tuesday morning. So whatever you're going to do, you got to buy a ticket as you see it right now, whatever the cost is, get a hotel room and be ready to go. Or have gas in your car ready to go, with gas cans filled up with I when I had already bought first aid kits, so I had first aid kits already. And one thing I did not prepare for is, while we're driving, We have dead zones where we can't communicate back and forth. So, in good old Tam fashion, so I don't have that problem anymore. I went and bought walkie talkies. Now, the walkie talkies go up to 38 miles. So, while I'm driving, if um if I'm caravanning with a crew of people, I got walkie talkies for everybody that we caravanning with. 38 miles. We should be staying together, pulling in together. We're gonna stop and get gas together. We're gonna stop and eat together. We're gonna stop and do whatever it is that we need to do. No one should be breaking apart. But if there is a dead zone and we need to veer off in the direction saying, hey, maybe there's a tree down over, we can make a turn, right? So I'm saying all that to say, in a catastrophic event, your job gets wiped out. The company that you work for, um, the building is gone. So they have to let you go. They may or may not have money for a severance package to let you go. Um, the question is, how do you rebound from something like that? So I made this graph on like what a catastrophic event is and the fallout for that, and then we're gonna talk about your skill sets. We're gonna talk about your investing strategies. We're gonna talk about things that you could do to recover quickly in a case of an event like this. And it's more than just having the emergency fund. Like I say, I like to have an emergency fund for a year. 6 months is great, but a year to 2 years is even better. So let's get into it. All right. So you have a catastrophic event. You have a loss of job, which means could mean potentially no income, right? It also could mean that the company could support you. You could work from different locations or remote work, depending on the company and how big they are. And this now, again, going back to being strategic, it's now how do I, if I had to work, how can that company, my skill set assist me in getting more work? Can I work remotely? Where can I work the whole now? And we're going to talk about that. So now you have a house, right? You lost your dwelling, right? Whether it's an apartment, whether it's a townhome, a condo, or whatnot. So now the question is insurance. Do you have money to get a new place? Can you live with someone? Can you can you tough it out? Do you have enough money to tough it out in a hotel? What does your 401k look like? Can you take from there for an emergency? Can you take from some other brokerage account that you may have for an emergency? Can you take from Do you have money saved up in a high yield savings account? Can you take from there? Where can you pull your money from? And I'm not talking about $5,000. I'm talking 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to $100,000. Can you make a move? Do you have money saved up? This goes back into why I say it's important for you all to have money saved up and also get your skill sets up so you can start stacking that. It's hard to stack $100,000 up if you're making 30 or 40,000 and you got bills and you got to eat. It's kind of hard, but it's a whole lot easier when you got more coming in. Your lifestyle is medium to low and you can save, right? All right, next one up. You have loss of power, and I should put in here loss of power and loss of sewage. So you can't flush the toilet, you have no power and you have no water. So that means no cooking, no AC. You're not going to the grocery store because they're down. You're not going to Wendy's because they down. They don't have no power. So what do you do? How do you survive? What rations do you have, dry goods set aside in order to survive? Can you cook on the grill? Should you have cooked on the grill before the storm came in and just ramped up and had some food ready to go. Like, what does that look like? What does it look like to recover food wise while something like this is going on? How do you maintain your water supply? What are you eating off of? Do you have some fruit, dried fruit? What does that look like? All right, next one up is emergency fund. Cash, credit cards, brokerage account. Maybe someone has maybe y'all got some money left on a HELOC, or maybe you got some like, I'm just trying to think of all the things that you could possibly utilize. Now, here's the other thing I did not put down here. Notice I have not said contact your insurance company yet. I didn't say anything about FEMA. I am thinking all the things that you could do that can help you hobble along, and I don't mean hobble in a bad way, but get you to point A to point B, right? Put a one in the chat if you with me so far. Put a one in the chat if you with me so far. Because I don't even think people even think about these things as we go along, right? It's not something you think about because you never had to. So what cities like are affected with this? Anybody that living in Tornado Alley, fires. Colorado, LA had fires. Uh, anyone that had anyone that has lived anywhere in Houston along the Gulf Coast. Now we got Asheville, North Carolina. Think about Asheville, North Carolina. The whole town's got wiped out. People who lived up in the mountains and stuff, right? They got to get stuff to people by mule. They got to get to people by mule. People who are buried under, who got buried under sand and waves of just rivers overflowing and so forth, right? Think about that, right? So now that you got this idea, you just like, Tamika, how does this money help me? How does having money help me? Well, money helps you with options. Number one, if you wanted to catch a flight out to go anywhere you wanted to go, where you feel that you would be safe, you could have done that because you would have had money to do that. You would have had money to catch a flight. You would have had money to put in the gas can to get up the road. Just remember, as you're going along this route, so is 2 million other people or a million other folks. So you may get stuck in traffic. Guess what happens? There's no more gas along your route. So now you got to figure out like what's going to be the best option for me. What's going to be the best option for me? Do I fly? Do I drive? And if I drive, where am I staying at and what route am I going? Right? Next thing to think about when it comes down to this, to having the options that you have with money, the options with the money, it's not only do you have the ability to fly or go somewhere, but having somewhere to stay, right? And let's not forget, you may have others who are around you that don't have that option. And would you leave someone if you know that your apartment gets is going to get flooded, and you know the person that lives on the same floor as you doesn't have the income to flee, and you're in a mandatory evacuation zone? Would you leave that person there, or would you, if they want, if they wanted to go, if they wanted to go with you, would you take them with you, or would you leave them there? Now, here's the catch with that. You already know they don't have no money. So do you leave them, or do you say you got to figure it out for yourself? Because now you've got double the cost. What if that person who was there was on some type of medication, or they had kids, or they have panic attacks or anxiety attacks? Again, all of the mental things that come with this as well too, right? All of the mental things that come with this. So, being able to be calm in these situations helps drastically. You can't worry about what you can't control. You can't worry about what ifs. You got to worry about the definites. What are the definites? I got gas, I got my health, I got money, I got I got a way out, I got a place to go, I got hotel points, I could catch a flight, I could I these are my definites. So how am I gonna put this together? Right? So I called my neighbor. My neighbor decided to stay. I checked on him. I was like, man, it's a five. That's what they. And he's like, yeah, but if it's low tide, high tide, I was like, man, I don't know nothing about all that. All I know is we need to get out. And he was like, yeah, but I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're okay on this one. And I was like, okay, and we are. We're fine. Besides minor cosmetic stuff, but just think about if we weren't fine. How would someone get to him? How where would he be at? Like, it was flooding on the street. Like, what would that look like? So, I say all that to say, sometimes your emergency money may not just be just for you and yours. It may be for other people around you. Now, if you like me, I'm not that cold. Well, in one instance I am, but that's here or there. But yeah, I'm not that cold. Now, let's move on. So you got the money, you have you're helping fleeing. Now where are you gonna go? Are you gonna go to places where it's a oceanfront? Are you gonna go to places where it's a river or a pond or a stream? These are things that you got to think about. Are you gonna go to places that's in like the other part of this is what was not expected. The 120 tornado alerts, and I know for a fact 30 of them touched down. That wasn't even thought about. 30 tornadoes, right? So now you're fighting wind, tornado, flood, people trying to flee, and on top of that, rain. So now you got to think about again what route is going to be a safe route. Have you looked at the clouds? And oh, by the way, this walkie-talkie actually connects back to the National Hurricane Center and NOAA, so you can get live reports while you're driving, right? In case you get somewhere and it's spotty, you can use your walkie-talkie to do it. I got to look at satellite phones. I got to look at those. Those are the heavy duty ones. But nevertheless, the next thing is your job is gone. So now let's say you made it to a safe spot, you cool, whatever. And now they're like, hey, we can only support you for another month, but after that, your job, we got to let you go because we don't have enough money in reserves to float you. Or if we do have enough money in reserves to float you, we can float you till you get to, say, the company home base, which may be in Arizona, it could be in California, it could be in Colorado, it could be anywhere else but the state that you're in. So now let's flip this. I'm married with kids who are in school, and I'm the breadwinner in the home, and they say I gotta move to X, Y, and Z so that I could keep a job, right? So I could keep a job in order to keep living. What skill sets do you have that you could take anywhere in the world or anywhere in the United States? This is why I always tell you all to make sure that you're keeping up with your skill sets, right? What skill sets do you have that you could take anywhere in the world or anywhere in the states? And 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 make the same amount of money that you're making or more. What does that look like? What does that look like? I'm looking. Okay, hold on. What the messages? Oh, okay. All right. So now the questions I have for you all: have you assessed your skill sets? Have you assessed if you had to pick up and go, could you do it? If somebody say we need you to be at this job next Tuesday, could you pick up and go? Could you wrap it up and go? Could you wrap it up and move at the drop of a hat? Where are you moving to? What skill sets do you have? What companies are you working for? These are the things that you all have to think about. I don't know. I don't think I'm making sense today, D. I don't know. I don't think I'm making sense today. You all let me know. Does this make sense? Have you thought about your skill sets? Have you thought about the companies that you're working for? And not only the companies that you're working for, what type of work do they have coming in? What type of work do they have coming in? Right? When I say the type of work, meaning like, do they have the type of work that you could do with your skill sets? How long do they plan on having these contracts around? What type of customers are they going after? What type of customers are they looking are they do they currently have? How long is that work for? These are things that you got to think about. These are things that you got to think about. So, I'm going to bring you today some jobs, um also things just in general. This is just my world. Linux you could do anywhere. Infrastructure you could do anywhere. Data centers you can do anywhere. Help desk you could do anywhere. Working in on as a infrastructure engineer, automation engineer, working with Ansible, OpenShift, Kubernetes, Base, you could do that anywhere. You could do that anywhere. I can find more jobs doing you being a DevSecOps engineer than I would finding uh, working with a particular computer language. Say if I'm working with C or C plus plus or Rust or whatnot. Now I might find more jobs that I may find jobs that pay a little more, but if I could be consistent at 3 to 4 to 500 on my moves, right? On my jobs, I'll be okay. Right? I said, you said you hitting for sure where I am now. Skill set is data, and I'm back on the market. I'm looking to add more value, but there's so many options, like the side of architect side of data. So I'm glad you brought architect up because the cut to the screen right here. I actually brought this up as one of the things how to become a system architect, but I also wanted to talk about it's a such a nuance to it, right? When we're talking about being a system architect, again, following along with the scaled agile framework. Let me just go down the line of what I'm gonna talk about that still relates back to a catastrophic event, and how can you use your skill sets to go anywhere in case of a loss of a job, in case of loss of a house, in case of loss of your dwelling, the whole thing. And I actually, like, I sat down and thought about it, and I was just like, oh, if something happened, and they say, because I asked this question to people, I was like, have y'all thought about remote work? If we can't get back into the buildings, if things are gone, how we're going to shift to work remotely, get things going, and still meet our goals and our deadlines. and still get people paid? How do we do that? Have we thought about that? Right? And you may be an entrepreneur or a small business, and this is something that you should be thinking about too. What if you do have a catastrophic event that takes one of your employees dwelling out or what have you? And they have like, and when I say they're dwelling, it's not just not their dwelling, maybe their car too. How do you survive? How do you help that person? So how do you help that family survive or person? And how do you help and how do you yourself help yourself? I'm not relying on someone else to help me. I'm helping myself. Right? I'm just talking about how to help myself. All right. So I'm gonna come back to the how to be the architect. Let's go with this post here. I just want to get these jobs out and then we'll switch over to system architect and we'll talk about lifelong skills and we'll talk about things that you all could do to help prevent some stuff. Right. So tech systems is supporting tech systems is looking for people that can support a job for a project for 30 to 45 days in Orlando, Mobile, and North Carolina. The project is with hurricane relief efforts. So here's where your skill sets come into play. How can I use my skill sets to help with hurricane relief efforts? Maybe I go do some work 30 to 45, days where I could go get some money and then come back. Maybe I have some other things that I could do. So look at this one. The project will help hurricane relief efforts. I'm looking for clear IT professionals with the following certifications: A plus, the Network Plus, sysadmins with Sec Plus, no corp to court. The role is on site. Message the person. So somebody could be looking for work right now and want to do hurricane relief efforts, but not really go out and volunteer. But you can do this work and get paid and still help, right? So now let's think about all these things that come out of this hurricane debris, trees down, helping people get their rules back, helping people get their lives back. People may want to move, people want to get new furniture, people want like there's a whole new thing that's spun up out of all of this that are jobs that are spun up out of this that people can be doing, right? So, how do we make sure that one, our skill sets is on and popping, and then two, how can we make sure that we can go whenever we feel like it? Because again, I don't. A lot of people didn't leave, and I don't know if you saw those on TikTok. They was like, "Because I couldn't afford to leave." Well, you could afford to go to a shelter, right? But a lot of people couldn't afford to leave. A lot of people like, man, who gonna help us out? I heard the guy on Charlemagne the God and them talking about well, FEMA's a joke, this, that, and other. Who gonna help us? We down here dying. And he sounded like he was a father or a husband or a brother or of course he's somebody's son, but he sounded like he was at his wits end and he didn't have no other way to turn. He didn't know what to do next. He didn't know where to go next. He didn't know how to get out. And that comes from a lack of having options, right? Now, let's go to the other side that doesn't get talked about is all the elderly people in homes or need emergency care or in the hospital, maybe a mother is about to give birth. Those conversations have not been had. That's a whole nother level of of a level of anxiety and another thing that has to be fixed, right? So that's the whole nother thing that's out there about that, right? So I'm trying to get you to be not saying that you need to be in a hurricane mindset, but you need to be able to move how you want to when you have to and not struggle to do it. If you know you're down to your last $10,000 and somebody come to you and say they need to borrow five, tell them you ain't got it. You just ain't got it. Say you want to keep a minimum of 10. I know some people keep a minimum of 100. Like, we not gonna do nothing unless I ain't got it. What's your level you gonna keep? Because I'm gonna tell you, 10,000 can go quick. You take out you you go get a hotel room for a couple of weeks or something like that. You get some food that you cook in there, blah 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 blah. That 10,000 can be gone. 10,000 can be gone. You really want to be at the 50 to 100 range. And I showed y'all how to get that. Sign on bonuses, overtime, working extra hours, side jobs, overemployment. Don't stop till you get that set aside for you. Once you get that 50 to 100 set aside, then you can be like, all right, cool. If you get your bills paid off, all right, cool. But that 10 can go quick. 10 can go quick. All right. Next one. I found this one to be interesting as well too. Cause maybe your job is gone, but maybe you're ready to interview and do remote work. So what jobs would you be looking for to do remote work with, right? So I found this job. I don't know who GovCIO is. I think that's one of those sites, whatever. But anyway, they looking for a sysadmin, and the salary range is 100 to 500. 100 to 500K. Right? Let's click in it. I guess because it's being viewed right here on the side. Hold on. Let me move that over some and move it over a little bit more and spread. Okay. All right. So sysadmin and database administrator responsible for support of systems and relational database management, RDBMS, store, secure, index, and facilitate retrieval of federal clients' data, manage various servers and custom applications, monitor data backups, storage growth usage, respond to trouble tickets, patches, fixes, and so forth. High school plus 10 plus years of system administration, ability to get a secret clearance and hold it with the DEA. And that's what they want. And then the ranges are from 102,000 to 500,000, right? And it's remote. So in this situation that I'm talking about, you're gonna be looking for remote work, right? You're gonna be looking for remote work. To me, that's what I think you would be doing, right? Because one of the big things is you want to be able to get back on the saddle, and if you got to go somewhere else, you can go somewhere else. Like if you had to move to another city and do remote work, you could do it. I'm trying to get I'm on a different monitor. So this is actually kind of small. Let me bring that back in. One second. Oh, there we go. All right. All right. So we showed you couple of jobs. One, start thinking about remote work if something comes up in this case where it's catastrophic. Two, skill sets. Make sure you're maintaining those while you're working at the current job and also outside of the job, right? Don't let just when you get to work, that's just all you do and you don't add to your skill set. Three, make sure you're always looking forward, right? Like where the industry is at. So if you had to shift, you can shift and still maintain money and still get more money as you make that shift. right? 4, don't, and this should be number 1. Yeah, it should be number 1. Don't get attached to things. Just don't. They nice to have, like, you got your things that you like, but don't get attached. Don't get attached to, like, oh, you bought this specialty sofa from Japan, or you got these specialty clocks, or you got this, that. Stop getting attached to things. What are the basic things you need to get back up and running if you had to get back up and running? You need water, food, you do dry goods, internet, make sure you got a hotspot on your phone, a place to lay your head, and some clothes. Just something to switch out in. You don't need much, right? You don't need much. Now, how many of you could pack your life up? And literally, this is what I had to do. You had to do it too. You had to put your life into 3 suitcases. What are you taking with you? And you got 3 hours to get out of there. You got 3 suitcases and 3 hours. What you putting in the suitcase? Drop in the comments what you putting in. Are you gonna take your special cologne, fellas? Ladies, are you gonna take your high-end shoes? What about your one-on-ones? What you gonna do with your car? You gotta wrap your life up into 3 suitcases. What you putting in them 3 suitcases? And the important paper, ID, and medicine, all that stuff should be in a waterproof container. Waterproof, fireproof container. And you should digitize those. Clothes, food, water. You taking weapons, communication devices. Ladies, what y'all taking? I ain't heard from the ladies. Chargers, meds, clothes, sneakers. You gonna take your sneakers, Stacy? You can't leave them. You know what my rule of thumb is, and this is, I need to take a page out of I need to take a page out of what's her name? She just passed away. Tina Turner. Insure my hands. I need my hands to make money. I need my hands so I can type. I need my eyes too, but I can get away with accessibility. Right? All right. Here is now, Stacy, leave them shoes. Take what you can take one pair, the rest you gotta leave. Unless you can make money on them. Listen, if you got some shoes that you can sell and make some money, take them with you and then put them on eBay or wherever or whatever place you put your sneakers on. I can see that. But only if you're gonna make money. Don't get them because you attached to them. All right. So Tanika asked you, put up some direct hire for some jobs here. I'll post this in. I think it's already posted. Tracy posted this, and I just looked at it. So I said I'll talk about it. GS 13, 167K, GS 14, 191. a focus in AI, Microsoft SharePoint in Oregon. I guess that may not be Oregon. That's U.S. Tax Court. Farming Production 96, the CDC, System Administration 96, a GS 12. She's got a whole bunch of them out here. So go out there and check them out. Tell me what you think about them. They're already posted in Slack. They're already posted in Slack. All right. So we talked about going back to our disaster recovery, right? A catastrophic event. We have a loss of job, which could lead to a loss of income. The company may or may not support you. If they do, they may turn to remote work, or you could look for remote work yourselves and understand that you could work from different locations. Maybe you have to fly to Charlotte. Maybe you got to fly to Colorado. Maybe you got to fly to DC. An emergency fund. B- At least I'll take this. At least between these three right here, you got 50 to $100,000 that you can work with between the three of these. I'll take that. Even if it's 25, 25, 25, I'll take that. Heavy on the cash. Because the brokerage you got the reason why I say heavy on the cash. Remember, we in an emergency crisis with the brokerage account. I gotta go in, I gotta log in, I gotta sell it. Once I sell it, then they gotta transfer. So that's why I say it's just easier to do it unless you got a some type of checking account set up with your brokerage with your broker that you're working with, right? So I'm heavy on the cash for the emergency. The credit card, hotel, quick food. We want to get this, that, and other. Brokerage account. If I gotta sell and I gotta do something drastic, if I gotta get put a roof on or whatever, I can pull from there. Right. Loss of power. You gotta go where's power at. You can get a generator, but if it's flooding, the generator ain't gonna help you. Right. If it's flood in your area, the generator ain't gonna help. Let me see if I can find Florida. What they call Spectrum vehicles. I don't know if y'all saw those. Not Spectrum. Vehicles. Uh, the water vehicles that they had. Let me see. I think these were those. The high water airboats and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw these right here. Where they're able to ride through and float on water. Let's see if they got any more of them. I think that was them. Let's see, yeah, here's a video. Yeah, so they had this is one of them, but then they had another one with the high water rescue vehicles Florida. Let's go look at that. Trust me, people are gonna start having these vehicles. Look at images. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. See, it can get in the water and float. That's what it's called, a SHIRP. This one right here. 4x4 and go across water. Get you the way you need to be. Mm. Yeah, see? No sound. I'm just showing it to you. These are gonna be real popular. People gonna start having these out. Watch. People gonna start buying these. To float and go on water. Oh yeah. Now, how much do they cost? $100,000. You think them folks in Fort Myers and what you call it ain't gonna have these? They gonna have these. So this is what they've been using to rescue people with too. Now watch them be bulletproof too. Watch them be bulletproof too. I drop these in there and y'all can go check them out. The ship. All right. All right. Catastrophic. Remote work is what we do know. We got our emergency fund over here. I take 75 to 100 over here between the three. Just the reason why I'm heavy on the cash, because again, no power. It may not work. You got to sell here, so cash comes becomes handy. Loss of work. We already determined that if we lose our job, we can move around because our skill sets allow us to do remote work and work for different locations, and we can go out and find jobs or do recommendations. People can do recommendations for you and so forth, right? So we got that covered, right? So we got other jobs that we can get. I showed here. Um, these are just some ones that I was just going through. I set my parameters from 360 to 500K. I just wanted to see what was out there, and that's why I came across that sysadmin job right here. All right, all right. I'm gonna come back. Just let me get this one out. Oracle to invest more than 6.5 billion in AI and cloud computing in Malaysia. And since this has come out, there have been a lot of heavy recruitment for Oracle as well too. Not in Malaysia, just in general. A lot of recruitment for Oracle as well. So I just want to put that out there for you all. All right. So let's get back to our system architect here. So career wise, um and I know you talked about being an architect. There's so many different types of architects and so forth. But when we talk about career wise and we're talking about being a system architect and so forth, let's talk about it a little bit. Um, let's go here. Let's look at it from this perspective. And let's click on system architect here. And let's give two different definitions here. The system architect, and let me look small. All right. The system architect is responsible for defining and communicating and shared technical and architectural vision for the solutions developed by an art. This helps ensure that the system or solution under development fits its intended purpose. Systems architect play a critical role in aligning the agile release train, the art teams, to a shared technical direction. So basically, the arts say, we say, hey, here's the vision, here's what we need to march to, and each art or vendor plays their role into helping solve that vision. All right. So they partner with their teams to elaborate the system architecture, validate technology assumptions, evaluate implementation alternatives, create the continuous delivery pipeline. So that CI/CD pipeline that we talk about, like, hey, I need to scan my containers. I need to push my Helm charts out to a repo for maintaining. We need to scan the systems. We need to build the systems. We need all those things matter, right? Every pipeline matters, right? In the arts, not a solution train, system architects also perform many other responsibilities as solution architects. And we'll open that up too. To navigate the complexities of of system architecture productively, an art may have multiple system architects steering different aspects of the system architecture, working together toward a common business goal. Key collaborations, system architect, and then I'm just gonna not even mention this. We're gonna look at this. This is what the system architect touches. All right, that system architect steers the art, working with the release train engineer and the product manager. They also help align on solution architecture and enterprise architecture, solution architect and enterprise architect, right? And in some cases, you may not have either one of these up here. You assume though that role from the enterprise architect to the system architect. You assume that role, so you take on the bigger vision as well too, and we'll talk about that. And then as the system architect, you evolve the system architecture working with the agile team. So these different agile teams have their own architecture. Your job is to put it all together to make one big vision, right? And then here you may work with shared teams and systems teams. And those shared teams and system teams is usually your pipeline engineers, your CI/CD pipeline engineers, your platform team, your disaster recovery, your backup, your monitoring, security monitoring, network monitoring of everything, right? They monitor everything. So this system architect has a big role. They have big shoes to fill. And with those shoes being filled, that needs to be constant communication across the board all the way around, right? So when they say steer the art, the system architect works with the product manager and the release train engineer to provide necessary guidance to the train when they're talking about the actual arts, the agile release train. In association, the product management helps define business priorities. The architect ensures that the architecture supports the need, and the RTE provides the necessary facilitation of the train core processes. Additionally, the system architect as well as the RT and the product management work with the arts business owners. So those business owners, and if we go back over here, when we're talking about those business owners, we're at this point, and yes, on portfolio. When we're talking about the business owners, we're talking about, hey, what is it? What visions do they see, and are we encapsulating what they see? Right? Are we encapsulating what they see? Right? And then here it says the business owners the art work with the arts business owners to ensure alignment with the organization's higher strategic intent. What is the intent of this product? What is the intent of this? Many of these interactions occur around PI boundaries in preparation for PI planning. Besides steering the solution development effort, the three roles lead to a value stream management. And we could talk about that another time. I just want to stick with system architect, right? The system architect also works proactively with the enterprise architect. Like I say, in some cases, it may not be an enterprise architect to ensure that the art is aligned with the organization's technology landscape. However, the train is working on a larger solution that involves other arts and suppliers. The system architect interacts with the solution architect as well as the system architect from the solution train. They're working with non-functional requirements, things that come out of things that really don't get tracked on their Jira board and so forth, right? And then they evolve, right? We may be going one direction, that enterprise and system architect may have to steer us in another direction. So knowing that, looking ahead for things that could be potential blocks and removing those, and then steering and making sure that we go into another direction, right? So these are the responsibilities right here of a system architect: supporting the DevOps CI/CD pipeline, aligning architecture with business priorities. Again, remember I tell y'all, anything you're working on needs to tie back to the business. What's going to make us money? What's going to keep us employed? What's going to help us with our disaster recovery in our own lives, right? A catastrophic event. What's going to help us? What are we working on, and how does that help us there, right? Defining and communicating architecture vision, involving system design and teams, and fostering built-in quality and attending to NFRs, right? And they go on to talk about the business priorities and so forth. So now let's go look at Indeed. That's from an agile standpoint, but now let's go look what Indeed has to say about a system architect. It says system architect can design and maintain complex computer systems we use daily. If you're considering a career as a system architect, learning about potential paths to a job can help you set and meet your career goals. In this article, we provide job description, duties, salary, and so forth. All right. What is the system architect? It is an IT professional who creates and implements and maintains complex computer systems like databases. They can design systems to withstand their intended use. For example, they can ensure a website has the server capability to handle the number of visitors a company expects. Below are a few Below are a few types of system architecture that system architects can work on. So again, the system architect could be a number of things, right? Integrated. A integrated system architecture combines computing, orchestration, storage, networks to perform a specific purpose or meet a specific workload. Distributed. In a distributed system architecture, computing and storage are implemented separately and connected by networks. And then pooled. With a pool system architecture, computing, storage, and networks are orchestrated separately to help grow the system. And then converged. In a converged system architecture, computing, networks, and storage are separated but jointly orchestrated. Right? So, what do system architects do? Define computer systems specific specifications based on the client's requirement. Again, what is the client? The customer is going to guide you on your product, right? And sometimes you may have to steer the customer. Let's not leave that you do some steering. Analyze the cost of system architecture, including hardware and storage. Diagnose issues with a computer system. Follow security and industry standards to design. Create documentation for system architecture. Maintain current computer system. Creates plans for backup data and computer systems. Define, plan, and implement system upgrades. Design plans for how to respond to the event of a system crash. Choose and set up commercial software for clients. Develop algorithms, test infrastructure, and technical performance, right? So what is their salary? Now, on the low end, they have 120 on the low end. But most system architects I know range between 2 to probably about 350, sometimes 4, depending on what type of architect. AWS solutions architect, database architect, AI architect. It really depends. You could be working in a financial industry, right? It really depends. Now, one of the things that most people fail to realize is um you could go to school and learn about being a system architect, but most people do it through certifications and time. Over time, you learn how to design clusters, how to design systems, how to implement them, things to look out for, the gotchas and so forth, right? So here they said you could do a system architect and gain skills for the need they need for a technology career through an associate's program. You can earn a bachelor's degree. Again, I always stick with computer engineering because then after computer engineering, it's actually systems engineering that you'll probably be going down the route of. And I say that from the perspective of you can get a PhD in systems engineering, you can turn around and go do your AWS cert and do architect from there, turn around and get a PhD based on your experience and so forth. So there's a multiple ways to get there. It says and then earn certifications, right? Another way to show employers your abilities when you're applying for system architect position are your certifications. Technical architect certification, framework certification, that's the agile one, that's the framework. And then the technical certification would be your AWS or your Azure. And then IT certification. You can earn an IT certification that shows employers your knowledge and so forth. And then just through gained experience and then networking and then do your resume, right? So let's look at PhD GW systems engineer. I looked at that this morning. They got one online. So does Colorado. All right. So a PhD in systems engineer. Again, if you're going for a PhD, you're not paying for it, right? You're not paying for this. Um, let me look at it here. So here is the site. Um, let me see if they got more on the classes. I was looking at it this morning. I might have to go here. I'm looking for the classes because my thing is look for the classes that they have you enrolled in, and then look where you can go take some of that on Coursera, or you can go take some of that on um Coursera, or go take some of that on edX. So it's really possible to get employed with certification. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's look at um GW systems engineering PhD syllabus. It gave it to me right here, but that's fine. So data analysis for engineer and scientists, research formulation and engineering management, quantitative models. They had like different disciplines that it falls under. I'm just looking for the syllabus. See the requirements. Okay, let's go here. All right. At least 54 credits, including a minimum of 24 in required elective courses and 30 credits in a dissertation. So there are, I know Colorado, University of Colorado would let you do systems engineering, but you can also create your own. You can also create your own PhD. Now, why am I telling you all of this? I am telling you this because going back to having that catastrophic event, being able to have your skill sets where you can go do whatever it is you want to. If you wanted to consult, you could consult. If you wanted to be a contractor, you could be a contractor. If you want to be 1099, you could be 1099. If you wanted to do full-time work, you could do full-time work. As long as you maintain the money that you're losing it's because of a catastrophic event and move up. You never want to go 20,000, 30,000, $50,000 below. You don't want to do that. You want to move forward, right? Yeah, Microsoft certs are worth getting. Depends on what you're getting and what you're trying to what you're trying to do in Microsoft. Like Azure certs and be an Azure architect, sure. But then who's using it, right? So people like the VA, more than likely the IRS is using it. Um, just think about who's utilizing that Azure environment, right? Who's using that Azure environment? You said Sophia.org. Okay, they're online college courses. Got you. And like I say, edX and systems engineer. So if you wanted to get an idea of just what it is, right? Systems thinking, um, two skill building courses, assignment 340. They just got a model based system engineering foundations, and then with OPM object process methodology, and then they have that. Then you can view the course. Um, and you can go back here and take a look at model based systems engineering, the foundation, to see these courses. I'm gonna sign in, but that's it. There looks like Israel X is the one putting on these courses. I don't know who Israel X is, but that's what it looks like. Um, yeah, MIT has their stuff, and again, space systems engineering with John Hopkins, right? Explored systems engineering. Then you have that with Georgia Tech as well too. So again, it depends on how you see yourself with the system engineering. Let me make sure I covered everything. Oh yeah, I do have one more. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have to put this up on my thingy because this goes in line with what I wanted to discuss as well too, but what we've been discussing. So he made a total of 53 million in his career. Let me stop this, and then let me bring up not that one. Let me bring this over. Huh? I don't know why it keeps doing that. Oh, it's because I'm going up too high. All right. And then let me make sure my sound is up. Okay. Let's start from the beginning. And then let's play. He made a total of 53 million in his career, but had no money to save his son. His wife showed off her Hermes bags on a private plane, but he made $53 million in his career, and his son got sick, and he didn't have no money to save his son. He made 53 million.
pitifully in front of NBA executives. This man is Tony Snell. Snell, who is playing for the Hawks in 2021, learned from the nanny that his eldest son was a little abnormal. He was 1.5 years old, but only knew one word. The doctor replied that he might have autism. Snell recalled that he was always alone in his childhood and could not speak for hours. Snell also brought his youngest son for examination, and the three of them were diagnosed together. In order to save his son, Snell wanted to return to the NBA. He didn't want to make money by playing basketball, but wanted to get some insurance. The NBA's welfare plan stipulates that players who have played in the league for 10 seasons or more and their immediate family members can get medical insurance. Snell has played in the NBA for 9 years. If he wants his two sons to be included in the NBA's medical insurance system, he has to play for another year. However, the teams that contacted Snell were only willing to give him a short contract of 10 days. He made a total of 50.
Now, why did I bring that up? I brought that up because you can have $40,000 and be broke, and you can have $53 million and be broke. Why does this man have $53 million, make $53 million, and don't have not nothing? Why do you have to go back to the NBA and ask them, can you go back into play so that his kids can have, like, make it make sense? Now let's flip this. Could he move in case of an emergency? If it came and wiped out his house, his Bentley, and everything, could he move? We will hope he could, but I'm putting my money on he couldn't. Don't let that be you. Don't let a catastrophic event stop you from rebounding. One event should not be wiping out your entire family. One event should not be buckling you to your knees. I get it. Death happens. People die. I understand that. But don't let this be you and you can't survive. Put yourself in a position to survive after an event. When you say what is my opinion on AI diminishing return, explain. Are you talking about AI videos, or we're talking about using AI for something? Right? In the end, that catastrophic event should be a lesson learned. I can tell you the lessons that I learned. D, you could type in the chat the lessons that you learned. I'm gonna give you probably about 3 lessons I learned real quick. I'm glad I had I'm glad I had multiple jobs at one point. I'm glad that I'm glad that I'm able to invest and pull from investments if I had to. Thank God for the ability to think calmly and rationally in a time of, hey, I don't know what I'm gonna go home to. I don't know. Like I told people, like they were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know." I was like, "I don't even know if my home gonna be here or not." So let me just pack up what I can. The rest is just whatever it is. I got my laptops. I got a way to make money. I got a way to do what I need to do, and I keep it pushing. That's it. Other than that, all that other stuff can be replaced. So what can how can you set yourself up to move at the drop of a dime? That's the message I want to send home to you today. Or what can you do to make sure that you can, if you had to leave Atlanta because uh 30 tornadoes ripped through Atlanta, what would you do? He could afford private insurance for himself, wife, and children, and nobody told him. I don't know. Chat GPT 4 to Chat GPT 5 improvements are not as impressive. It would take a lot more data to see significant improvements. So maybe I will not be what many predict. I think it's going to take time for AI. I appreciate you, Miss Phoenix, for the $5 super chat, though. All right. Here's the other thing that people fail to realize too: access to your health and getting things done. So if I needed to go to the doctor, if I need to go get my teeth checked, eyes checked, whatever the case may be, the ability to do that. That's what you want. Right? Well, folks, it was Hurricane Relief Day. It was trying to get you to think outside the box, not think about just what you could do with the money for now, but what can you do with it in a time of a crisis, and how strategic you could be in a time of crisis, how you can make yourself available, not for just yourself but for others, things that you should be thinking about. How will you bounce back if you lost, if the company is wiped out? The company you working for, say they're based out of Chicago or they're based out of San Francisco, and the company say collapses, the building collapses. How would you rebound? What things are in place for you to rebound? So that's how you got to look at it. Just like they look at you, like if we lose you at work one day, what if you lose the job? What if the company is gone? What are you gonna do? All right, y'all. Y'all be fun. Y'all have fun. Like it's time for me to eat. All right, bye.